What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the You Know Ball podcast. I am your host, Troll Bro Dude, and Sam. Punxsutawney Phil saw his shadow yesterday. It is officially Slop season. We are kicking shit off. We got the Mark Stein report about Trey Young potentially getting traded. We got Shams basically saying he's definitely getting traded, and I'm bringing it back, baby. We're putting on
Let's go. The first dawning of the hoghood.
Let's go, baby. It is Slop season. I was very worried because Slop season the last few years has been either like 2 years ago, it started very early with the OG Anunoby and Pascal Siakam trades because they basically happened the second they could happen. And then after that, last year, at this time last year, I don't know if you remember this, but we were doing our Death of the Trade Deadline episode.
Yes.
And right. I was genuinely worried. I was like, this is not good for us. If these aprons fucked up the trade deadline, we're going to have nothing to talk about. And then 3 weeks later, Luka Doncic was traded. The biggest deadline trade, biggest trade in the history of the NBA, and it broke all of our brains. Now, I will say, I said this the other day, and I continue to feel this way about trades. I feel like we are chasing the dragon a little bit here with the Luka trade. Yeah. Because Luka, there will never be any sort of dopamine that will rush quite like it did the night of the Luka trade. And I'm not just saying because of my state of mind. I'm saying because it was so out of the blue. There was no reports. It was a big-time, all-time player who just got his team to the finals, and it completely... So now I get a Trey Young report, and I'm like, that's it? That's all I get? Is a little Trey Young, little drop of slop. Yeah, it doesn't. I feel nothing when I read this, unfortunately.
It's the ratcheting effect of slop, man. Kind of like the ratcheting effect of capitalism about how, like, you have to seek profits, like, all that. We need more and more slop.
Yep. Trey Young, apparently, I don't know if he selected the Wizards. I don't know if I would exactly say that he selected them. I think it's more so
he was given options of every team that was interested, and he picked one of them. So
I even think that's being generous. Mm-hmm. I think that what happened was they looked around the NBA and said, who is willing to take Trey Young's contract? Mm-hmm. And what salary matches Trey Young's contract? And one of the only logical choices was CJ McCollum plus whatever filler it takes to make the trade happen for Trey Young, because CJ McCollum is expiring. The Hawks are looking to get off money. And the Wizards, see, at first my gut reaction was the Wizards will just always be the Wizards. You know what I mean? Like, I talked about this, last offseason, where I said one of the only teams that makes sense for Trey Young is the Wizards because they have all this cap space. They're not going to get guys to go there in free agency. That's just not really how Washington ever works. On top of that, they have all these young guys that kind of need more of an offensive engine or centerpiece, like a guy like Trey Young, and they are the Wizards. The Wizards always go for what people would. Now, look, I think someone like Russ would probably be a good comp to Trey. I know Trey is much younger than Russ. When Russ was floating around the league from OKC to the Rockets to the Wizards to whatever. But like, you also have to consider that Russ was coming from this. He was on a Supermax contract, so it was hard to move his deal in general. Mm-hmm. He was getting traded basically 1-for-1 for these other Supermax deals. And he started to decline in his 30s, but he was still, the guy on OKC up until that point, and then had that amazing season with the Rockets. Trey is coming off of pretty much the exact opposite, while he's still only 27 years old and could seemingly go somewhere else and kind of restore and regain some value here for himself and whatever team he goes to. He still is someone that is just going to have everything built around him, very similarly to Russ when he went to the Wizards. He still is someone that is going to demand a ton of touches. And I'm conflicted on whether that is a good environment for him in terms of him having the ball all the time versus those guys on that team having the ball. And then putting most of those guys into like roles offensively that might fit a little bit better for their skill sets as play finishers around a guy like Trae. But at the same time, is this really trading for Trey Young, or is this we might get a first round pick to take on an extra year of $45 million worth of Trey Young? Because my first gut reaction was, oh God, here go the Wizards again. My second one was, oh wait, there was more information that came out. And the information that came out was they might actually have to include a pick to make them take it, because they're basically getting off the Trey Young contract. And we've seen recently teams usually need to pay in draft capital or whatever it is to get off these massive contracts when someone like CJ McCollum will be a free agent this offseason. And essentially it is, it's either you keep that cap space for this offseason, they would still have like $50 million left in cap space after a trade like this, or you can get in advance a player who might be somewhat helpful for your team, and you can also get a first round pick in the process.
Yeah, I mean, my instinct on this, I think how good of an idea this Trey Young trade would come down to, because I saw the same thing. I actually think it's like a fine swap just for everybody, like if it's there, no picks involved at all. I think it's like totally fine for everybody, because it's probably like Malachi Branham and like Cam Whitmore probably. You need like essentially like $7 million more to like for the trade package. So it's easy to get there without giving up, like Alex Sarr or, any of these big, Keyshawn George is obviously not going anywhere. You don't even have to give up like Bilal Coulibaly or anything like that. You don't even really need to give up Corey Kispert, although maybe that's something that they try to.
Well, I was going to say, maybe they try to. My thought was maybe they try to include Bob Carrington.
I mean, well, if I would want that if I were the Hawks, you know what I'm saying? Like Bub, it might not happen for Bub in Washington. I don't know if he's also like, you could just decline his player option. You don't necessarily need to like dump him though, like,
well, he has a year next year already picked up, I would imagine.
Yeah, but it's like $6 million. It's like not very much money.
But like if they get Bob Carrington, this is more so my point. They get Bob Carrington. So here's the thing. It depends on what Washington's goals and objectives are too, because like people have pointed this out, and it was my instant thought was like, don't the Wizards already have like the worst defense in the NBA? Like they're like 28th in defense, and a backcourt of Trey Young, Trey Johnson, and Bub Carrington would be the worst defensive backcourt in the history of the NBA. So you have to kind of look at it as like, if we're okay with losing the next 2 years, and we're just, because I just think that they're like, this is our way we can kind of piecemeal it, like not necessarily speed up the rebuild, but more so like, look, we'll get Trey. Trey's not going to help us win that much this year. Like we might win 15 games for the rest of the year, but we're already so bad that we're not going to fall down to like 9th in lottery odds, right? And that is significant for them because they do owe a top 8 protected pick to the Knicks. Are you aware of that? Do you remember that part?
Yeah, I do kind of remember that.
So I looked at the pick odds for this because it's unlikely that they will ever fall to the point that, like, for example, right now, if they fell to Washington at 7, there would be a decent chance, or not a decent chance, a 15% chance if they got down to the 7th in lottery odds, that they could lose their pick to the Knicks. Anything above that, it's like 4%, 5%. It's really not a large amount. And I'm shocked. They're higher than I thought in lottery odds. They're actually 4th right now. But I have a hard time seeing them getting down to, like, for example, Charlotte is at 8 right now. They're not. I don't think they're going to catch Charlotte. Like
Charlotte, the Giant Slayers. They just destroyed the Thunder.
They've been playing better recently. They've kind of, since, I don't know if you saw this, but LaMelo, Trae, and LaMelo, Khan, and Miller have like a 127 offensive rating in their minutes that they played together, but they've never all been healthy at the same time until this last few weeks. So they have at least a little bit of like, they can be mid to, decent for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And so you look at that and you go, all right, well, we're still going to be a disaster on defense. Like, we might win games 130 to 125, but we're going to have the worst defense in the NBA if we have those two on the perimeter. So it's not hurting our chances to get a top 3 pick in this draft, which is what because like in most drafts, you would say, well, they flatten the lottery odds, so it doesn't really matter. But this is a 3-player draft, really. Like, yeah. And those are like 3 real blue chip prospects at the top of this draft. So you want to keep the best chance that you can get into that top 3. And I don't know if Trey Young necessarily hurts or helps that for the rest of this season if you acquire him right now. So you could basically pitch it as like, we're still going to be bad for the rest of the year. We'll have this massive expiring contract, and we might get draft capital to take it on in the process. And if this doesn't work, we can trade him a year from now. Now, the problem is Trey and his representatives are going around the league trying to find a team that will give him an extension. And
yes.
I just can't imagine it. Even the Wizards, I cannot imagine a team being like, yeah, we'll pay Trey Young all this money when the team that he's with right now doesn't even want him on the team.
That's what I was just going to say. Cause that's where I think this is a pretty harmless thing for like the Wizards to do. Like, I understand that they could like lose their draft pick. I don't think it's something they really got to worry about that much. As you just laid out, the bigger thing is, do you fuck up and give Trae like 3 years, $120 million on top of whatever he is? You know what I'm saying? Because this is the thing. This is the real thing Atlanta is trying to get rid of. They're trying to like, because the other thing is like Atlanta could just like wait this out like 2 years too, like without giving up draft lottery picks. But the problem is when you have these guys in the building when they expire, and then you have to go to them and say, you're not worth what you think you are. That kind of creates bad blood. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times GMs just kind of fucking are like, no, we'll pay you, more than we think you're worth. And that's my concern with the Wizards is you should not be in the position. It's going to be like right in the dead center of when you can't be doing this in terms of your development arc. If you do get one of these, like, top 3 draft guys, if you're paying Trey Young in a year and a half, like that's like franchise suicide. Like that could be like smothering your baby in the crib. Like it's fine to bring in Trey Young. You just got to be very realistic about like extending him. Like if you're giving him like $25 million a year or something like that for 3 years, okay, that's fine. Like something like that. What you cannot do is max him. And I think that's what he's like going to be asking for is like a max $40 million, something like that. And I just don't think that is, I don't think that's the way to do that, and
I don't think they're gonna like, I've not been high on this new Wizards front office, but I also think that they are at least smart enough to be like, sure, we'll take on Trey Young for a year and a half, see if it works. And if it doesn't, buy. That's kind of how I
close your eyes. Oh, I'm doing the thing. Okay. Yeah. Close your eyes. The Wizards, end up with, AJ Debinsta in this lottery. Okay. I got AJ Debinsta, Sarr, Keyshawn George, they go out and they sign somebody, player X to be depth help, whatever. This Wizards team makes the playoffs and is a scrappy, like, I don't know, hard third out, like, not this postseason, but next postseason. Now you go into the postseason for the first time, making the postseason in a while. Fans are something excited about. Trey Young is expiring. Do you have the balls to say, no, we're not paying him and let him walk when like he is going to be kind of conflated with the success if that happens? Like
if I get AJ Debinsta, I don't care. Like that's the thing. It's like if I get Debinsta or anyone I view as like a real building block, because I continue to say this and I still feel this way. Like the Wizards young guys have impressed me with how much better they are this year than they were last year. They're still not franchise level guys that I feel comfortable building around.
Sure. Yep. I agree.
And if that is the case, then I'm just waiting for that, which is why a trade like this, in my opinion, could be fine for the interim. And then if you get debate, like the more interesting question to me is, what if the opposite happens? What if they fall again in the draft and they have the 7th pick again, and then they draft whoever? I don't know who they would draft at 7. Let's say they draft someone at 7, and then ownership is like, all right, we're in year 4 of this fucking rebuild, going into year 5 of the rebuild at that point. And if that is the case, then you're like, what do we have to show for this other than like, unless SAR makes more and more leaps, like we don't have someone that is a true franchise icon building block that we can sell to fans, get people in, make the playoffs, blah, blah, blah. That's the thing that is more interesting to me, because then I feel like ownership would pressure them to pay Trae. I feel like the opposite of your scenario.
But the thing is, they wouldn't be making that decision this offseason. It would be next offseason.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that, like, what if they have the opposite where they fall to the 7th pick and then they get like the 12th pick the next year? So what I'm trying to say is, like, I think they're more likely to pay Trae in a scenario where they don't get a franchise guy in the next 2 drafts.
If that happens, the GMs are just fired. I don't think they're gonna. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think the timeline works like that. I think the bigger danger is them making the playoffs. But like, for if you are a fan of the Wizards, I think the scarier thing is them making the playoffs or succeeding in spite of themselves next year with Trae going into a contract, because I think that could like genuinely damage them. Because like, look, if you have bad lottery odds, like, I'm sorry, I don't know what they should have done that's like terribly different. It's like, hold on to Denny Avdia is like probably the biggest mistake they've made. But like after that, like the worst mistake they've made is like extending Corey Kispert. And I'm sorry, like that's not that big. It's $13 million. It's not that big of a deal. Like,
I understand, but you also have to have like things that you did well. Like,
well, it's good for their job. I'm talking about like the franchise. I'm separating a GM having a job from like what Wizards fans are going to have to watch. I think it is more dangerous to the Wizards product long term for them to be good, because that's what would really kill this rebuild is Trey Young getting paid $60 million a year for 5 years.
Do you want the ultimate disaster scenario?
What?
They trade for Trey Young. They go on a Mickey Mouse March run. They lose their pick this year.
Yeah, that's really bad. Yeah,
that's the nightmare scenario, is that you trade for Trey Young, and oops, half these teams that don't give a fuck down the stretch. We have a young team. Trey feels reinvigorated. We're beating teams, like I said earlier, 130 to 125 every night, and we accidentally win too many games. We get bad lottery luck. We fall down. We lose our pick in this crazy draft. And by the way, the last time that they chose not to tank during a year like this was the Wemby draft.
Right.
So you didn't tank in 2023. They were kind of accidentally bad, and they ended up like outside of the top 5. You didn't tank in 2023, and you also did not tank in 2026. I wouldn't say that the 2 best drafts, but like the 2 drafts that have the true prizes at the top of them that can actually change the trajectory, this top 3 and the Wemby draft that could change the trajectory of how you are as a franchise. And I know a lot of Wizards fans are against acquiring Trey Young at all, because they're just like, we've already waited so long with this fucking rebuild. Like, we're taking it slow. We're doing we feel like we're doing the right thing. We're making a little bit of progress this year. We have a chance to make a real difference in this upcoming draft. And Trae might just get, like you said, ownership addicted to making the play-in. And then we just go, fuck it, and go the other direction. And we end up capping ourselves at a play-in team again after, years of waiting between these 2 different iterations of what the Wizards are. And that would really fucking suck for the fans, because they've, waited all this time to just be basically the same thing. Having said all of this, I think it's likely that if they do get Trae in a trade, I don't know if they send back something else to, like, for example, I know for a fact the Wizards have that fake first that the Sixers sent them. Do you remember that in the Jared Butler, Reggie Jackson sign and trade, whatever, or salary dump from last deadline? So that's like the worst of the Rockets, the Clippers, and one other team in 2027, or no, 2026, this upcoming draft. and I think it's the Rockets, the Cavs, and the Clippers. So that's going to be like the 27th pick of the draft.
Yeah.
You could send that to the Hawks and then have them send you an actual first. So it's like, oh, we just swapped the first. So the Hawks can kind of save face on that. Yeah. They get off Trae. Maybe there is a player that they're interested on their team, like the Champagny brother that we talked about before or something like that. Like there might be a player that the Hawks are interested in. If not, this is basically just going to be kind of similar to the John Collins move from a few years ago, where it's basically just a purely financial, or the Terrence Mann trade they made, where they traded Terrence Mann to the Nets. They sent out a first round pick. They got Porzingis back. That's probably not going to work out because of his health and availability. But like, I don't think that the Hawks are like, we need to get real things back for Trae. They're like, we need to get financial stuff back for Trae, and then we'll do whatever it takes to make that work.
Wow, they fired Harbaugh, huh? That's crazy.
I'm not surprised by that.
I'm not either, but like
for weeks.
But it's crazy.
The Baltimore, Washington area.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised because it's just like when you have a coach like him. I know he won a Super Bowl 13 years ago.
Yeah,
is he the longest tenured head coach in the NFL?
He's got to be. He's up there, man. Like
it's him and Tomlin.
So probably, yeah.
And Tomlin would have got fired, or Tomlin would have left the organization if they lost that game. Was the other rumor. They've been saying for weeks that Harbaugh's job isn't secure. And
that was a loser leaves town fucking week 18.
It literally was a game of the year too. What a fucking game.
But I think everything you just laid out about the risks involved with taking Trae for the Wizards organization, I think is probably why they have leverage. And that's probably the Wizards probably realize they have leverage. And that's probably why we're hearing about first round picks being included for this, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's, do they have another one besides the big one, the Hawks?
So they're not giving up that pick. I know the Mavericks.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, oh, we want that pick. Yeah, good fucking luck. Yeah. So they have the big. They have. So if I remember correctly, they have the best of the Pelicans and Bucks this year, which is the one they're not trading.
Right.
They also have. I want to say they also have the worst of the Pelicans and Bucks next year.
Okay.
From a different trade, if I remember correctly. I think that was from the DeJounte Murray trade that sent DeJounte to New Orleans, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, they have God, it's such an absurd.
And then they owe the Spurs pick their pick this year.
I don't think they do.
They do.
I'm not seeing that.
It might be a swap, but they owe them in some capacity.
I think it's next year is the one they owe. They owe them a thing. Oh no, it's a swap. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay, I'm seeing how they wrote this out. Yeah. And also I didn't realize this, but the DeAndre Hunter trade had a fucking. I didn't even realize we blew it off at the time because we were like, well, who cares? It's a swap, but the Cavs are so much better than the Hawks. How could that matter? Well, the Hawks are actually in the same area as them in this thing. So San Antonio gets Atlanta's pick, but Cleveland owes their pick to Atlanta because of the DeAndre Hunter trade. Yeah, I don't think like the wheels are gonna fall off for like Cleveland though. I think this is about as bad.
Neither do I, but it's the 16th pick of the draft right now. Like
I know, but like Atlanta's pick is like what 17, 18? You know what
12.
I'm saying? It's like a two. Yeah. What?
No. Atlanta's pick they owe the Spurs is 12. They're out of the play-in right now, or they're in the play-in right now.
Oh, I guess because it's backstopping the Spurs.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that is pretty significant because that's like a 10. That is like a 10.
Yeah.
Thing jump. Yeah.
So right now the Atlanta owns New Orleans pick, which is the second best odds. Then Atlanta owes the Spurs the 12th pick. And then the Cavs owe Atlanta the 16th pick because of that. And then San Antonio's pick goes to Cleveland because they swapped on swaps basically.
Okay, so there's like a bunch of swaps going on here. Okay. So yeah, I mean that is a pretty significant pick. I mean, if you could get that fucking Cleveland pick in the trade, that'd be pretty.
I'm also wondering because Washington, it's actually the worst of OKC, the Rockets and Clippers. I'm wondering if Washington just says, we'll give you the 30, what is now the 30th pick.
Yeah.
And you give us that Cavs pick. Because there's a chance the Cavs could kind of figure this thing out. And that ends up like the 22nd pick. And then you swapped 8 or the 21st pick or whatever. And then you swap 8 or 9 spots in the draft to get off the Trey Young contract. Like, to me, I don't see Cleveland completely falling apart. Like, they've definitely underwhelmed, but I would be surprised if they were out of the playoffs entirely. No. And so if I were the Wizards, I would consider that. If I were Atlanta, I would definitely consider that. A lot of these swaps that at the time were like, oh, that's never going to convey. Don't worry about that. Weird shit happens in the NBA now.
This has been my thing for like ever, when everyone was like losing their minds about like this, the Thunder are going to be good forever. And it's like, things happen so fucking fast in the NBA. Like, I remember when the Cavs made the Donovan Mitchell trade, and Bill is like, they're going to be set for 10 years. I'm like, no, they're not. Like, that's not a thing that ever happens. Whatever you think a window is, it's shorter than that. It's like there's a tweet, picture a fox. Wrong. It's smaller than that. Picture your NBA title window. Wrong. It's shorter than that. Like, you should like always be treating, like, I understand why people get like confused about this, because like you make very loud, easy to tell mistakes when you're pursuing a shortened window. You know what I'm saying? You do things like the Drew Holiday trade, which like for the Bucks got them a title, but if they didn't get them a title, would be considered kind of a disaster, because it's like,
it would be the Paul George trade. I mean, obviously SGA being involved in that is also just kind of crazy, but it would be the same thing where people would laugh at the Bucks and like, how could you trade all that for Drew Holiday? And it's like, well, they won in 2021 and it makes it worth it.
And that's just how it goes now. You don't have these giant, great, big, long windows. I mean, this OKC looked as set up as anybody. I think they're still the title favorites. I do think people are being a little crazy about them right now, just in terms of like, are they falling apart? But I'm just saying, like, it's not a given. You know what I'm saying? Like, OKC were the favorites last year. They also did need luck to win the title. Like every title team needs luck to win the title. It is kind of fucking out of your hands. Like,
we're on 3 straight years of a dynasty being born and it not ever. You're correct, because it's like I would say the outside of the Golden State one, because the Golden State one that's
a genuine historical outlier. Where like
that's like last breath of the dying corpse kind of title. Yeah, but the Nuggets title, the Celtics title, and the now Thunder title is like, oh man, we're about to start a run. Like, this is like the beginning of the run. And then it's like, all right, well, the Nuggets haven't been back to the conference final since then. All right, well, the Celtics, they lost in the second round and lost Tatum. Now maybe they're turning it around and they can kind of reopen that window once Tatum comes back. But then you have the Thunder this year who look human at a minimum. Like, I still think that they should be considered the favorites, but I do think that we over exaggerate every finals. It's very funny because I say this every year, and then the next year we go into it and they're like, who's going to win the finals? And I'm like, the team that won last year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is statistically the best,
most likely. Sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, the Thunder are still the title favorites. Like, they should still, I mean, they're still what, like plus 30, even with their bad like week, they're still plus 13 or something in point differential. Like, they're a good team. Like, they're a very good team. They're if you had to pick a single team to win the title, they are the most likely one to win a title. I just like, I get so over everyone being like, well, there's no reason the Thunder ruined the NBA. And it's like, no, they haven't. And again, that's why I'm always laughing at that when they're like, they are not interested in the Giannis deal at all. It's like, okay, sure. Like, you have a chance to strike while the iron is hot right now to like really run up the score and become like a genuine dynasty team. But like, if you want to roll the dice with, betting on the 25% chance you win the title every year, go for it, I guess.
Chiodo's whole thing is that he thinks that the Thunder losing that Game 7 last year or losing the Game 7 against Denver would have made it so that they make a crazy fucking move just to kind of put themselves over the top. And then it ends up being they have a longer and higher window and a better chance in those coming years, because it probably would have spawned some action. My thing that I've been talking about with OKC, because I do think that they probably won't make a trade. I actually thought about this. Who is the last champion? I think the last champion to make a significant trade was the Houston Rockets in the 90s.
No, the Raptors. Marc Gasol.
No, not at the deadline. I'm saying after they win the title.
Oh, after
not
they win
the
title.
year of it.
Oh,
so
okay.
You win the title, you go into the next year, and you make a massive move either in that offseason or at the deadline. And I think it's the Houston Rockets with Clyde Drexler. And by the way, I do just want to point out the historical significance of that. The Rockets won the title. Michael Jordan retired.
Yeah.
And then the next year, so they had a chance to go back-to-back, but they sucked. So they literally needed Clyde Drexler because they underperformed like crazy. They were the 6th seed that year, and they won the NBA Finals. They were the last, if I remember correctly, they were the last non-top 3 seed to win the NBA Finals, but they were a defending champion. They added Clyde Drexler at the deadline, and the pressure to add Clyde Drexler was brought on by the fact that Michael Jordan was retired, and there were rumors that he wasn't going to stay retired forever. And by the way, what happened? He comes back. He came back that season. They lose in the playoffs, the Bulls, and then they win the next 3 titles. So the long and short of this is that them having that thing, that is like an all-time outlier. I'm trying to think. I really cannot think of a team that made a significant trade. Like a trade that was like, I wouldn't say like best player, but like key starter even. It doesn't happen often.
That's pretty rare. Yeah,
but also you have to consider that OKC might be in a different situation, not just because of the picks, but because of the salary flexibility. Like the Heat couldn't do anything when they won their titles. The Warriors couldn't do anything when they won their titles other than adding Kevin Durant, obviously, and that was a free agent move. And that was all-time outlier, cap spike shit. But what I'm trying to say is that, like, I've been trying to think who OKC, because OKC is not trading for Giannis. It's not even worth discussing. Also, Giannis might not get traded. We haven't heard anything about that in a month.
Dallas Bucks wins again.
I mean,
he has Shams in a headlock right as we speak.
I think it's I think that the Bucks fans are correct, and also it is Cope. I think it's a bit of both, because it is inevitable unless they make a major trade here. And by the way, I don't know if you saw, but they were also attached to Trae. That was a Michael Scotto report. But like a lot of people have said, like maybe they could trade for Trae, and I've said time and time again, like they have 2 real forwards on their roster, basically their whole roster, that are healthy right now. Now, are they 2 of their worst players? Yes, but they are forwards. But you can't build a team without forwards in the modern NBA. Yeah, Kyle Kuzma and Bobby Portis are the salary to make any realistic trade work, and they're at least good when Kuzma and Giannis play. Like Portis, like I think you could probably get away with it if you could find the right move and get, like, if you traded like Bobby Portis and like I don't know, like a heavily protected 1st-round pick swap and got like Malik Monk or something. Sure, whatever. Bobby Portis is done at this point, basically, for them. Like, he's been terrible. I still wouldn't do that because I don't think you could just do all guards and Giannis and Miles Turner. But the long and short of this is that, like, I don't think the Bucks really can make any moves, and I think trading for Trey Young would be a huge mistake for them. Like, I just think
trading for Trey Young is a huge mistake for most franchises, almost all. Like,
that's the thing. Is like he is a player that is just not adaptable to any team. You have to build your team around Trey Young. And how many players in the NBA would you list before you got to Trey Young in terms of players that you would want to build your team around? At this point, it's got to be like 25.
It's fucking hard, man, because what we've talked about before, where it's like your value is really cut into with the sheer number of personnel that you need to put around you. Like, I do think Trae is an offensive engine. I think that, like, he's it's also been kind of a long time since we've seen that be like effective in the NBA with the Trey Young as the offensive engine. And then,
do you know what he's shooting from 3?
I'm going to guess it's probably like 33% or something like that.
Trey Young is shooting 30% from 3 this year.
That's crazy, dude. That's what I'm saying. Like, you can't
41% from the field.
It's like, and it's like, it's not like he has like no talent on his team. You can't like say that anymore. Like,
no, they have a lot of offensive talent. Like,
yeah, like,
and in theory, they should be a better defense, but that's just another conversation for another day. But
yeah.
This was the team that we all were finally like, all right, if it's going to work, it's this team. And it didn't work.
So I just don't think he's like. I think we're adding into it. We're coming into a new, play. So it's like, you are. Are you ready to become the evolution of Cam Thomas, the tank engine? Because that's essentially what you are at this point. Like, big dog, you're supposed to be our number one, and you're playing like a bum. Like, I bet you better start doing your job. Like, this is.
Have you seen the other Cam Newton clip that he did about Leggett on the Panthers?
No, I missed that one. No.
The way you look will keep you in a jersey. Kadoosh, kadoosh, kadoosh. I've literally been walking around my apartment just saying kadoosh, kadoosh.
He's awesome. Cam, I will say, it was not a particularly bright chapter in the Patriots. I was a big fan of Cam Newton in his time in New England.
He's got aura.
He's got aura. I love Cam, unfortunately. So he's awesome.
One of the only good athlete podcasters, by the way. I just want to point out that athlete 100%. Podcasts, most podcasts are terrible, including this one. But the athlete podcast has been, not everyone needs an athlete podcast. Jeff T, Cam Newton, those guys are kind of the exception to this rule.
Yes,
they're fantastic at it. But even though he did call Drake May a game manager, I don't know if you saw that.
He's cooking. He's cooking. Stat Padford fans, we must get Matt his MVP now. Yeah, everyone. Drake May played a tissue baby soft schedule. He is not ready. This is not his MVP. We need Matt Stafford.
You're trying to get the target off you.
You're gonna remember. Yeah, we need this so bad, dude. If Drake May wins the MVP, we are losing to the Chargers at home.
Well, but also the MVP doesn't come out until later in the playoffs. So,
does it not?
The Eagles, when Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes, we played both of them in the Super Bowl. It came out that week. It's not.
I thought it was like right away. For some reason, I thought it was like this week.
At least I can, because an Eagle hasn't won MVP in my lifetime. But if I remember correctly, it's like towards the NFC Championship Super Bowl time. So you won't know until later.
Okay, never mind. No, he's ridiculous. This is obviously Drake May.
But what if you guys lose and then 2 weeks later it comes out? Then it's like.
It's fine. I was worried about the MVP. That's we're gonna get clowned either way.
I can't imagine. I do think we're the best player on my favorite team getting clowned for winning an MVP. Why would you?
Yeah, it'd be crazy.
Why would that ever happen to a person?
How would that happen?
I've been trying to tell people though that we need to stop with the fucking podcast curse. Stop talking about the Sixers. I literally wake up to fucking Monday morning. The Sixers could be a scrappy contender. They could beat the Knicks. They could win the East. They could make the conference finals. And then we lose to the Shanghai Sharks last night at home on fucking national television. And the whole time leading up to that game, I was like, I got a bad feeling about this game.
I can confirm. I saw in the Discord Trill say Jalen Pickett masterclass before it happened.
It literally was the most predictable thing of all time. If you follow the Sixers, you know that at least one. So I'm used to like when you watch these, because it feels like these games happen more often now because there's so many injuries that like you just get like the hospital. Remember you always said like, oh, the old hospital Celtics teams. Every year we have the Grizzlies, the Pelicans, the Sixers, the Mavericks, whoever. There's always hospital skeleton crews that you have to play on any given basis. And last night it was the Nuggets, who have had this kind of disastrous run of injuries. They actually have been, Jamal Murray played in the other games, to be clear. But in the games Jamal Murray played, they were like surprisingly competitive. They actually won one, if I remember correctly, and then they almost beat the Cavs.
I'm hearing Jokic's team merchant. I'm hearing
David Adelman merchant.
Yeah, I'm hearing he's a system player.
David Adelman's my goat, dude. I was like, who is this guy? All right, so once again, I'm used to. I called the Jalen Pickett game. Did you hear the thing that they said on the Peacock broadcast, which was that coming into that game, Jalen Pickett shot 8% off the dribble threes in his career, and he hit 7 in that game.
That is one of the most unreal Sixers curse things, the stats I've ever heard. That's crazy.
I was like, okay, so once again, you're used to one player. So I singled out Jalen Pickett because I watched him at Penn State. And when Jalen Pickett had a chance to cook at Penn State, he was awesome. The problem is he plays for the Denver Nuggets and he's like their, sixth best ball handler or fifth best ball handler or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
So he doesn't get a ton of opportunities to cook on any given basis. So last night I was like, all right, he's got a good chance. I didn't expect Zeke Naji
that hurts
to hit a Dr. J layup in crunch time of that game. He literally got the ball at the perimeter, got downhill, cooked Bona, got under and completely twerked his body and reversed it under and went in. He also had a career high from in points. Jalen Pickett had a career high in points. Hunter Tyson had a career high in points.
God.
I was like, this is, they shot almost 50% from three in that game. But also when you're watching the game, the most frustrating thing when you're watching a game like that is that the only way you can lose a game like that is if the other team gets hot from three, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So you go, all right, like, don't get cracked off the dribble.
Yes.
And get the defense into rotation because that's the only way they can get open threes and that's the only way they can hang in this game. Well, what the fuck happened all night was that we literally could not stay in front of any of them. They would set screens. We would get into rotation, wide open three, wide open three, wide open layup, wide open three, wide open three. And then after the game, they asked Nick Nurse about it and he fucking bucks posted, dude. He was like, well, it was a shooting game. Like sometimes the other team, we let them hang early. They got confident and they didn't. And I'm like, you're doing a Bucks post about shooting variance when you're playing the Zeke Naji, Peyton Watson, Jalen Pickett Nuggets.
Yeah.
It's a joke, dude.
They weren't gonna like cook you in like isolation, man. Like you could like sell it. You know what I'm saying? Like you could.
We overhelped
stun
the whole game.
I was gonna say you could stun. You don't have to send help defenders, man. Like you could scram switch some stuff. You could zone. You know, like there's some options.
They ran zone and we didn't know what to do with it. I was like, these are G leaguers, bro. Bruce Brown is the best player on their team.
David Adams.
Actually, Peyton Watson's better than Bruce Brown now. Peyton Watson, I'll say this much. I literally said that I thought, first off, Will, I don't know if you remember this, but Will made fun of me for drafting Peyton Watson in the expansion draft. And I said, he's 22 years old, all 22-year-old rookies, or all 22-year-old wings suck. And now he's 23. I laughed when they fucking made this pick on draft night. He averaged 3 points a game in college. Bro, he looked like fucking Kawhi Leonard last night. I was like, this is
Will's been on that one this year. Will has completely abandoned.
Pivoted. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, he pivoted. Like
he was leading the NBA in offensive rating.
That's crazy.
Now he was playing a lot of minutes with Jokic. So obviously, if you play a lot of minutes with Jokic and Murray, that duo specifically, you're gonna. But the last 3 games without Jokic, 24 points on 9 of 19, 8 rebounds, 21 points on 9 of 22. 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 23 points on 8 of 14. And then last night, 24 points on 7 of 13, 8 of 10 from the line, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 blocks. He's, once again, I talked about this a little bit. Like, I was like, can we trade Kelly Oubre for him? That's obviously not happening anymore. I'm mad at myself because I keep doing this thing where you go, well, look at the percentage of the cap when these contracts come out. And you're like, oh, well, that's only 10% of the cap. Like, it's fine to pay Christian Brown $25 million a year, right? Because it's only 17% of the cap or whatever. But now they're going to get to a point where they might not be able to pay Watson a year from now because they gave Christian Brown that contract. And I'm like, well, all the skeptics might have been right.
Maybe. I think you just pay him and figure it out later. Like,
can they though? Didn't we literally talk about this? Bro, they're paying Jamal Murray. Jokic will be on a super max.
Yeah.
Jamal Murray will be on a regular max. Aaron Gordon and Cam Johnson both make like a combined like
I forgot about the
$60
Cam
million
Johnson contract.
Like, bro, I don't think they have the stomach for this. Is my point.
I think they probably try to trade Cam Johnson.
That's probably what it is.
Yeah.
If Peyton Watson's good enough, you trade Cam Johnson as an expiring, and then maybe get back someone that, because they did that trade to get off the Michael Porter Jr. contract. Funny enough, it seems like these wings are great when they don't play with Jokic. So I'm gonna say,
let's go, Cook. By the way, have you been keeping track of Jonathan during these Nuggets games? By the way,
no.
There's a really good bit Jonathan's doing where I lock in whenever the Nuggets are playing. Jonathan just starts tweeting about like team defense and how like this is our team and the squad is really locked in on team defense right now. It's awesome. It really makes me laugh.
I was just sent from Chiodo a video that was posted on Twitter from Full Court Pass. Nikola Jokic warned his teammates the Sixers were going to try to win the game with Tyrese Maxey. It's Maxey, he yelled. Yeah, no, genius play by Jokic. What else are we going to do?
I wasn't Dominic Barlow that was going to be at the top of the scouting report, actually. Like, oh, that's crazy.
I was like, I mean, Maxey is the only guy on our team who can both dribble, pass, and shoot, like all simultaneously on, that. And by the way, I really feel like I have to zoom out a little bit sometimes because I was getting so mad over this game last night. I was getting so mad over this game. And then afterwards, I actually thought it was kind of funny that they lost because I was like, this is so absurd that we just had this podcast curse thing. That, by the way, how many times have we talked about the podcast curse this year? Every time. The Knicks had a cycle. The Pistons, it's coming for the Celtics next.
I was just gonna say we're next. Yeah, now that we're second, it's us next. So.
Yeah, you will they're winning the East, and then they will collapse. And by the way, it was very funny that everyone concluded that the Sixers were good and contenders because they beat the Knicks, and then the Pistons beat the fucking brakes off them, and they also lost to someone else who wasn't good. And I was like, maybe
they haven't won this year yet.
No, I know they haven't won in January. They have no win.
4-game losing streak right now.
Yeah. And the other thing I wanted to say about that is, did Larry David cook, dude?
Wait,
did he cook? Did Larry David cook one of the greatest meals of all time in 2024? In January of 2024, I found the clip. Doc Rivers went on to Bill Simmons' podcast, and they all golfed together. And he said, Larry keeps telling me that he wants the credit for being right because, by the way, this was just before Doc got hired by the Bucks. By the way, on that episode, the title was like the problems in Milwaukee right now, basically. Yeah. So Doc was on there talking about all the problems with the job he was about to take from the person he helped get hired.
Amazing.
Such a snake, dude. So Doc goes on there and he is talking about how Larry David said to Bill Simmons and Doc Rivers when the first year of the in-season tournament, so it was Lakers-Pacers, they were both in a death spiral. It was in January, right? They were both in a death spiral because they ramped up and they played that game, and then they were horrible for a month after that. And now, obviously, the Pacers went on to make the conference finals that year. They traded for Siakam. They rebounded, whatever. The Lakers, haven't been quite the same since. They also made the Luka trade. I want to know what the Bucks record was at this time last year after they won the cup, because it's starting to feel like winning the cup is a bit of a curse.
I kind of said this, that normally what happens is that you get the young up and coming, losing the cup springboards you into like another title of like is an arrival. Like you lose the cup and it makes you an arrival, and then you have like a playoff coming out party. And if you win the cup, it's the end of you as a serious contender.
Yeah,
like
it's the death nail.
So I'm just saying, bet the Spurs when it comes to this offseason. Like, so
crazy. All right,
Billy's got the stats for us. Best 10-game record after winning the cup is 5-5.
I mean, if you go into the cup now, to be fair, both the Lakers and the Bucks that year were famously mid outside of the NBA Cup. Games.
Yeah, for sure.
Like they were undefeated in the cup, and then they were like 500 outside of that.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not something that it's a trend to keep an eye on it. If the Knicks just kind of like fumble for a few more now, they don't have Josh Hart right now, but every team has injuries. Like I almost think that the one thing I will say about the Knicks roster construction is that it seems like if they lose their third or fourth most important player, it hurts, or fifth most important player, it hurts them more than a regular team, because they're kind of like for example, I talked about how OG might be their second most. OG isn't the second best player on the Knicks, right?
No,
but he might be the second most important player because he's so crucial to their defense, right?
Yeah.
And the thing that I've been saying is like, when one of these guys goes out, whether it's Mitchell Robinson or Josh Hart, or then you just watch their games and they're playing just like young players, bad wash vets. Like the Yabu thing not working out really hurt them. Like they don't have the reserves to be able to make up for this. Now, if they're top 6 guys, I would include 7. I would include Deuce McBride in that, because Deuce McBride's actually pretty good. If those guys are healthy,
Tyler Kolek disrespect.
He had 4 good games.
Kolek sanity.
Every year we get a different small guard that goes on a run. Yeah. That is, it started with Jeremy Lin. It gets smaller and smaller. Last year we had Jared McCain, who is shooting 35% on layups this year. And then now we have a smaller version of that, Tyler Kolek. By the way, do you ever have a player on your team that they win their minutes no matter how bad they look? Well, I guess you had Marcus Smart, so that would probably be your guy.
Jason Tatum.
Oh, probably true. It is true that they won the minutes no matter how bad Tatum plays.
How bad Jason Tatum plays, we always win these minutes,
Because I'm starting to feel that way with Jared McCain, where I'm like, he's the worst player on both ends of the court every game this year. It's like truly shocking how bad he's been. And he is these are his plus minuses in the last 4 games: +6, +7, +9, +5. And I'm like, what is he doing?
Steph, I told you, dude. Steph Curry gravity, man. You don't have to be good. You just gotta command the attention.
How to exist out there. Number 1 in gravity, Steph. Number 2, do you know who number 2 is in the new gravity stat that the NBA created?
Oh, new gravity. Is it Duncan Robinson?
No, that's a good guess. It's actually Kevin Durant.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, to be totally honest, just because of the Houston and how they score. By the way, Houston, I don't know. Have you been tracking the advanced stats with Houston? Houston's like legit. Like Houston's like underperforming their point differential. They might end up.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're like, I forget what their like record is right now. They're like 22-11 or something like that.
Well, they're started. I remember early in the season they had like they were losing every close game, and then they eventually course corrected.
Well, they're dead last in the win differential. Like they're like 3 wins under their win differential. Like they should be a 25 win team. And I think they're cleaning the glass plus minus is like almost 10 now. Like
you are forgetting that Fred VanVleet is now saying he might come back in April, and he's going to take Reed Shepherd's minutes down, and then they're going to turn into frauds.
That would be special.
It is amazing that Reed Shepherd is like so important to that team after being literally not playing at all last year.
It's so funny. I mean, this is going to happen with the Celtics and Jordan Walsh and Jason Tatum coming back.
But doesn't Walsh only play like 15 minutes a game now? I
know. When Jason Tatum gets his 15 minutes, it's going to be tough.
You guys are just going to
have to learn to coexist with you. Dude, I have to say, the Tatum stands are going insane. I don't know.
Okay, so I actually had a thought.
Okay.
And I said this, and I can't believe I'm going to say it on the podcast because I'll get a lot of shit for this.
Yeah.
I had a very demonic thought last night, and I DM'd into our group DM with me, Dan, and Chiodo in it.
Okay.
And I said, do we actually want Jaylen Brown to win the MVP? One, it will drive Tatum fans, which is like half of Celtics fans.
Yes.
Absolutely insane that he won an MVP and a finals MVP other than Jason Tatum. And 2, even though Tatum has all these career achievements that Brown doesn't have.
Yeah.
And then 2, no, everyone will forget about the Joel Embiid MVP in 10 years and stop bitching about that if Jaylen Brown wins an MVP.
Oh, yeah. No, and let me just tell you, we're like one Shai Gilgeous-Alexander injury from that becoming like a distinct possibility that like Jalen Brunson or Jaylen Brown win an MVP, dude. Like
the calculator rats are going to throw their body in front of this. I just want to point out to you, they already started. I don't know if you saw, you know HP basketball. He has
I know he's
MVP based psychosis every single year in this argument. And people were, someone asked me, did you see that he was actually arguing on behalf of Maxey and saying that Maxey should win MVP? Does he really believe, be like top 4 in MVP or whatever? Does he really believe that? And I was like, no, he's Jokic state propaganda, dude. He's literally doing it to bring down Embiid. I see what's happening here. He doesn't believe that at all.
No, it's not true at all. No,
it's all agendas.
They have to put a wall up in between them. Like I'm just saying, like if you all had better pray that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander stays healthy. Because the second he gets injured, I will activate like the Manchurian Candidate to start the Jaylen Brown MVP candidacy, dude. Like,
I think I actually, if SGA got hurt today, and they were like he's out for 2 months, and it's just that's it, he can't win. I think it would be Cade.
It'd probably be Cade. Because you need a 1 or 2 seed. That's the thing. Maxey's up against it.
The Celtics pass. If the Celtics pass the Pistons, then Jaylen will have that argument: 30 points per game, 1 seed, best player was out for the season. He'll have that narrative, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if the Pistons hold the 1 seed and Cade is like, I think Cade's kind of won even his skeptics over at this point.
For sure.
He's just like, I mean, we already admitted this like a year ago, but I think even like I would say most Cade doubters have fully come around on the fact that he has very clearly been one of the 5 to 10 best players in the NBA this year. Like but it's not like crazy to throw out 5 when you consider the availability stuff from the other guys.
I guess that's what I'm saying is like I think he's like 10, but like 6 guys are hurt. That's the thing about this MVP race. So
that's what I'm saying. Like to me, like if you factored like SGA and Jokic are in their own tier of whatever. Sure. Yeah. Giannis has missed a decent amount of games. Wemby's missed a decent amount of games. Luka has been up and down this year, and Tatum's been out all year. Like, there's
Luka's a fraud, by the way. I'm starting to develop that.
Do you want to talk about the Luka thing? Because I had this thought a few weeks ago watching them. It is just really frustrating. He's just become really frustrating to watch.
I think he's a fraud. I'm back on. I've gone back and forth about this. Nico was cooking. Nico died for the sins of.
My question for you is: we always talked about like, could they have gotten X player for him? I guess the specific circumstance. They would have never been able to get like for example, like if they called the Sixers and they were like, trade us Maxey for Luka, we would be like, why are we trading for Luka? Like Embiid doesn't play games. Paul George isn't playing games. Like we want to be bad for the rest of the season. So we can keep our pick. But like you probably would have I don't think you could have gotten Cade. I don't think you could have gotten Anthony Edwards. I don't think you could have gotten Jalen Brunson, but you probably could have got like Donovan Mitchell, Tyrese Maxey in theory, like in a vacuum. Like these players that are very clearly top 15, top 20 players in the NBA for Luka. Or even just get Austin Reeves from the Lakers.
Yeah.
Who's like playing like a top 25, 30 player in the NBA this year. And I think there is on the other side of the argument where you go, wow, you got appropriate value. Now, we've talked about the butterfly effect thing where if they get Austin Reeves and he goes on a Linsanity run of his own, Hicksanity.
Hicksanity.
Austin Reeves goes on Hicksanity run. Then you might not get Cooper Flag. And then like, okay, we have Anthony Davis and Austin Reeves and, you know, the 9th pick in the draft. Like, what is that really? Like, we obviously would still rather have Luka Doncic, right? But I see why he wanted to do it more now, but I also want to point out that it was he sent him on a fucking suicide mission, dude. He suicide bombed the Lakers and the Mavericks by doing this trade. He knew the Lakers could not. It wouldn't make him look bad because how the fuck can the Lakers build a team around Luka when they don't have good players or picks? They're gonna have to. It's gonna take time.
I don't like. I also just think like he is Trey Young. Is the sin of Trey Young being too easy to see what this is? Is Luka a Trey Young variant?
First off, the death of the heliocentric player is what you're trying to get at here. So like it's kind of now the Luka thing. Now the argument with Trey and Luka, Trey's much. I mean, it's really the Trey being a small guard and also being heliocentric makes it fucking impossible. Because I know Luka is bad on defense. He can never be as bad as Trey Young on defense. And on top of that, Luka, when provided the correct infrastructure around him, has proven to be, at times, one of the best playoff performers in the history of the NBA. Like, even if some of that is inflated because he has the ball all the time, whatever, like, dude has been a killer in the past, and maybe he'll just be living and clinging on to that for the rest of his career and will be disappointed by this. But like, I still kind of think that like they have a 121.4 offensive rating when he's on the court. Now they also have a 119 defensive rating when he's on the court. So they're barely winning his minutes, but this has been a problem in the regular season for pretty much his whole career. Like they barely win the Luka minutes every single year, and his stats are legitimately insane. But we're going on like 8 years of him being like very good, not like. And I said this when we used to argue MVP every year. I was like, Giannis, Jokic, and Embiid are destroying teams when they're on the court. Like they are running teams off the court, even if you put them out there with fucking bums. Yeah. And Luka, like. They win their minutes, but they're not running away with them. And then, by the way, they also had multiple other guards on the team that could carry the load when he sat, like Brunson and Kyrie, and that made it look like his impact wasn't really that much of an impact. It's kind of similar to what's happening with Jaylen Brown right now, where you guys win the Jaylen Brown minutes, but you're also very good when Jaylen Brown sits, which is why I think that in the MVP race, the calculator rats will never bend the knee for a Jaylen Brown argument. But also, would you not want to have, I know they're two very different players, Jaylen Brown and Luka Doncic, but like if you have a big game in the playoffs, I trust both of them. Like in a way that it's a short list of players. And this is like Anthony Edwards is another one. Like,
yes,
they're flawed players. They're not perfect players. But in a big moment, in a big game, like they've shown up time and time again in the playoffs, which is extremely hard to do for like clear MVP level guys.
Well, can I tell you that the god of this is Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton is another one of these guys where it's like there's guys who are like kind of down a tier, but they're nails like in a certain level, like so you kind of you give them that grace, We could also call it the reverse Tatum. Sorry, I'm piling on. I'm really enjoying this. This is the get back. After I had to go through the shame of my team winning a title. This is my revenge tour.
You're perverted.
Let's go.
Absolutely perverted.
Yeah.
So by the way, I don't know if you saw, speaking of the Celtics, and you would never admit this, but Jimmy Butler's also in that category. And I hate Jimmy Butler, but I have to admit it. You're right about that. He's like, oh, Jimmy's like the 20th best player in the regular season. And then the playoffs start, and you're like, oh, is he top 5? Like, what the fuck?
Well, we're also talking about guys who get to the free throw line, which is most of those guys.
Sure, a lot of
it. That's really what that is. Like
tough shot makers too, though. Like I think because the reason why, because a lot of people have been giving Maxey shit the last few games, because I don't know if you saw this. But he is his stats, his fucking minutes are legitimately like Nick Nurse should be in fucking turbo prison.
The Magneto jail.
Maxey is second in minutes in the NBA. Voldemort is number one. You know Voldemort is number one. Voldemort is
really?
Number one in minutes.
Very funny.
Brandon Ingram is 3. Dyson Daniels is 4. Scotty Barnes is 5. Mikal Bridges is 6. Tumani Kamara is 7. Okay, ready? All of those guys that I just named have played 36 or 37 games. Tyrese Maxey, who is second in minutes, has played 32 games. He has played 4 to 5 less games than all of those players, and he's ahead of all of them except for he who shall not be named. Like, legitimately insane how many minutes that they're putting on his shoulders. Still, we're in January. He's playing 40 minutes per game in this NBA. He travels 2.8 miles per game. Was the most by a wide. It was him and then Mikal Bridges like far behind him in the miles traveled stat per game. And then at the end of games, he can't make shots, and everyone's like, does Maxey suck? I'm like, the coach is fucking killing him every goddamn fucking game. Now, admittedly, also the coach, and by the way, I've been fine with Nick Nurse this year. I'm not mad. Like, he does things that frustrate me, but it is what it is. But when you are not, like, Maxey's only weakness is that he's not a great isolation one-on-one player. End of the game, running down the shot clock, go get a bucket. Like, that is not his. He can play off screens. He can play dribble handoff. He can even get catch an attack. He can get it when the ball's at the top of the key and get downhill and draw fouls and get to the rim, whatever. He's not great at getting into his bag and cooking a guy. And we don't run offense at the end of games. We literally don't run plays. Yeah, we literally just go. And like, if we had James Harden, I would be like, okay, fine. But we don't. So, like, draw up a fucking play to get guys open because they can't do it themselves. That's why you're the fucking coach.
I really hate that happens, because that does kind of seem to happen at the end of games. And like, I understand, like, you're trying to control possessions, right? Like, sure. So you don't want to go early. Like, you don't want to turn it over. You know, there's reason. There are some reasons for that. That said, the fact that it almost always turns into a one-on-one like isolation is like,
yeah. And unless you have Shea or Jokic or fucking, like, unless you have one of the best guys at scoring in a one-on-one situation in the NBA, you should draw up a play at the end of the game. Like, the other night, Giannis, it was very funny because in the Hornets Bucks games the other night, Giannis was in the huddle, and Doc grew up a great ATO in this game. It was
injury Doc with scrubs.
No, it was, well, yeah, I guess technically the rest of the team is scrubs, but Giannis was playing in this game. And so he ran a Giannis, Kevin Porter Jr. dribble handoff, and they switched it, and then Giannis immediately got to the basket and put it in because they didn't switch quick enough. He basically realized, got downhill, got to the basket, put it in. The reason I'm saying this, I think that was what happened. I have a blurry vision of what happened. But the reason I'm saying this is that after the game, they asked about that, and Kevin Porter Jr. was like, yeah, Doc threw up a play and Giannis threw it out and was like, hey, they're switching on every screen. We should run a 2-man game and I'll just get an open bucket at the basket. Giannis drew the play up.
It's amazing.
And I was like, how the fuck are these coaches? By the way, a lot of really good coaches in the NBA this year. Like, Gomez has done a great job this year. The guy who's the coach for the Suns has done a fantastic job. What I'm saying is, like, how do you make $10 million a year as a coach and you're not even going to draw up the last play of the game? Like, what is your job? What do you do
around here? That Doc Rivers has it all figured out, dude. Doc Rivers has the ideal.
Rivers and Nick Nurse, like, they're just like, we won a championship years ago, and we'll just coast off that for the rest of our lives, basically.
Doc rocks, man. I need Doc. When it happens, we're gonna need Doc to step into the highest office to lead this country and the healing that's gonna be taking place here.
Yeah, he'll leave the Bucks soon. He'll rejoin the Ringer for a few years. He'll start a political podcast with the Ringer.
JD, get in here.
The Doc's in office.
Yeah, I wish I had the Doc Horse. I can't do the Doc Horse voice.
No, it's really hard. The only person I've ever heard pull it off is Trill Withers, Tyler. He can do a really good Doc. He's the only one I've ever heard be able to pull off that level of like hoarseness in the voice, though.
The scratchy. You did the scratchy voice. Tibbs is like that too. I bet Tibbs could do a good Doc impression and vice versa.
Definitely. Oh, by the way, just we're still in January and they did win the NBA Cup, but are Knicks fans signing the Tibbs apology for him, or are they still upset at him?
I don't like the Knicks fans are like, I don't want to be like, I don't want to like rain on the Knicks fans like parade. So I'm just kind of I'm very much my thing with Knicks fans is I'm doing the Idris Elba, learn to sit back and observe. Not everything needs a reaction. A lot of Celtics fans are like punching down on the Knicks. I think we can still lose to the Knicks in the playoffs. Like, so I'm not gonna be out here like doing that. But I'm noticing. I mean, if you don't make the NBA Finals this year, brother, I have terrible news about this team.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like they're probably under the most pressure to win this year, I would say, relative to the rest of the field, because the rest of the field is either young or they've already won, or So, by the way, Tibbs had this defense at last year at 12th in the NBA. Mm-hmm. They were 5th in offense and 12th in defense last year. And honestly, I thought their offense was fantastic to start the year. I don't really know what the fuck happened to their offense.
Jalen Brunson.
They're still 4th in offense, but difference of 4th and 5th. And then they are, the Jalen Brunson thing is like the defense has been a bigger issue for him than the offense, but I guess they did kind of fall back on their old ways with a lot of the isolation ball relative to, and they're 17th in defense right now. So similar, but Tibbs had them top 12 last year. And that was out without Mitchell Robinson the entire season, basically. Like, Tibbs is a demon, man. I mean, at a minimum, a great regular season coach. So I wanted to read this from, I need you to hear this LinkedIn post that was posted.
Oh no, I read it. Chiodo, I of course is locked in on Chiodo's feed, so I of course
we're getting NBA players rating LinkedIn posts after they beat the Sixers.
He thinks he's Duncan Robinson, man. It's crazy.
Spencer Keith Jones from Stanford. I didn't know we went to Stanford.
This is so Stanford coded, by the way. Like,
some games you'll remember for the rest of your life. On paper, this one didn't make any sense. Shorthanded by 7 players, no starters available, with lineup made up mostly almost entirely of guys who began their careers in the G League. We were on the road against a top team in the Eastern Conference with multiple NBA stars. I feel like that's being generous. I guess technically Embiid has been really good recently, and Maxey is a star. Yeah. And like, obviously Embiid was MVP in the past. He's getting back to the level where I would consider him in that level of star for the last 10, 15 games for sure. BJ's a rookie. Paul George is turbo washed. On nights where Paul George can't make jump shots, he's so fucking bad. But the nights where he does, it's electric. Everything about it was unlikely, including my defensive matchup against a nearly 300-pound center. But nights like this remind you what teams are really built on: effort carries, belief compounds. And when everyone commits to the same goal, logic stops mattering. One of the more improbable wins I've been a part of, and we did it in overtime. Love this team. So I'm asking you the question that Chiodo asked. What is stopping this Denver super team from winning a ring? Do we have to have a conversation if they don't have? I mean, this is the deepest team I've ever seen in my life.
How much help does Jokic need?
7 players out, and they beat a top team in the Eastern. By the way, he said a top team. I think we're like the 5 seed.
I was gonna say, well, technically the top, if you have top, middle, bottom, 15 teams, it's in the one tier.
Not totally accurate.
Yeah, the thing we kind of briefly touched on the Nuggets earlier. The thing I was going to say is I do think that this kind of helps sustain the Nuggets window, like kind of unironically, because I do think you can kind of move on from like Cam Johnson, and if like push comes to shove, Christian Brown, you know what I'm saying? Like they are kind of.
Well, the Peyton Watson, he's just pretty good now, and that is a genuine difference maker for them. I'm not really investing my time in anyone else that's at the end of their bench, but.
DeRon Holmes is
DeRon Holmes was not even good last night. That was the thing that I was like, this is a little bit concerning, that like all these guys are balling out, and like DeRon Holmes, I have barely even noticed him.
But yeah, I think I mean, it's good for. I guess my thing is like I think this is another instance of like NBA fans need to be willing to let go and realize that things change pretty fast. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're locking in big long cores for like long periods of time. I mean, I don't want to bring it back to the Celtics, but the fact that the Celtics like basically dumped Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis and it did like nothing to them. They're like on identical pace that like win pace that they were last year.
Something good happened to the Celtics.
I know. It's like
how many combined games have those two played, by the way?
I mean, Porzingis never plays.
So I mean, like, Drew's played less. Drew's played like 9 games this year.
Oh well, but I mean that is
that
is what it is. Yeah.
Hold on, Drew Holiday.
I didn't realize Drew had been like out like that. I thought he was just like not.
Drew has played 12 games.
Okay, yeah, there you go. Thank you, Brian. Luke Cornett is unironically a massive part of the Spurs. So that's
he was the best player that you guys lost. Yeah,
100%. So,
I mean, if you're a GM and you make a trade with the Boston Celtics still in 2026, you should lose your job immediately. Like, unless it is just a salary dump, like we might see at the deadline. Which I don't know if you did see the rumor, but there was I don't know if Michael Scotto was reporting on something that he had said in the past or if this was a new thing, but he did say the Pacers and the Celtics were interested in Zubac, which we've talked about before.
Talked about that before. I just don't think that works. There's not like a.
I think
I think the Celtics. No matter how good the Celtics are going to do this year, I would be floored if the Celtics did not get under the tax this year.
That's what I'm saying.
Like. Yeah.
Couldn't they do Simmons and 2 first-round picks to the Clippers for Zubac?
Doesn't work. No.
He makes like 18 million now.
Yeah, he makes 23 million. Like Zubac, it's too much money. What? Simmons makes like $23 million. Yeah.
Hold on. I'm going to the trade machine right now, though.
It's too much money. Like Zubac, he makes way too much money, so it's like impossible to work out. Because I looked at this when.
Oh yeah, he makes 18 million. Yeah, I was right.
Who makes 18 million?
Zubac. So it's not much less. It's only like 5 to 7 million less.
No, it's still too much. It's still too much for where the Clippers are at. Like,
I know. I'm aware of what you're saying, that they can't do the trade. You would have to get like the Nets involved or something, and
it's like too hard for like all that other stuff. I think they're just going to swap out Simmons for player X. You know, like Terrence Mann or whoever, and call it good. Is probably what's going to happen. But anyway. But the point is that I think there's a broader thing to be doing about like keeping your team fresh and letting your team like evolve and letting young guys come in it's almost always like a good thing. Like I think the problem with winning is you win with your guys and it makes you calcify around like, these are our guys. We need these guys to win. So like if you're the Oklahoma City Thunder, for example, you're like, we need Lou Dort. Lou Dort was massive for us in these playoffs. There's no way we can put Lou Dort in trades like going forward.
Yeah, we need Marcus Smart.
I mean, they moved on from Marcus Smart when the thing became like when it became that point.
I said for a while, I was like, Lou Dort probably their Marcus Smart, and still won the title, but I kind of feel that way.
Well, yeah, because the guard he was playing opposite actually played good, unlike Derek White, who shit his pants and fucking ruined the 2022. Anyway, I've made my
Derek White has ruined the Boston Celtics as we've laid out.
In 2022, he did. He really did. 49 true shooting in the playoffs. It's unreal how bad he was that. Anyway, but I think that we're gonna see like more of this, and I think that guys like. You know, it might be more of the kind of the death of the NBA like middle class. You know what I'm saying? Where things are kind of going down and down and down a little bit more. Like,
so what you're saying is that Calvin Booth is completely vindicated.
Kind of, in a little bit, in a little way. I think
you're basing this on literally one game.
Yes. Yeah, I vibes based. I'm just saying everyone laughed at me when I picked the Celtics.
I don't think you're wrong that the Celtics and the Sixers have kind of proven that this year, getting rid of the old guys and bringing in some fresh, like young role players helps a lot throughout the course of the regular season. Like I'm not denying that. but they still have to be like talented. Like they still have to, still have to be like have a role that is defined for them that works for the team that you're building. And the problem with Calvin Booth is that he drafted all these guys who just had their first good NBA game last night, except for Peyton Watson, who has been pretty good the whole season.
Sure. But I'm just saying like that's what like the max players are there for. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're talking about you don't really need to be paying your fifth and sixth guys like that much money. You know what I'm saying? Like those guys should be making like $20 million maximum. I think this is like kind of what we're moving towards here. Or if you have big money guys getting more money than that on the end of your contract, like, or if you have, in the case of like Lou Dort, for example, if you've got like an eighth man making like $17 million, who's like essentially like a specialist, like it hampers you. You need to be elastic. You need to be able to adapt, and you need to have a lot of different guys on your roster so you have different lineups so you can kind of adjust a little bit. And that's kind of how you survive in the playoffs. You either get lucky or you get malleable. And usually you just get lucky, but like being malleable can really help you when like luck is not on your side either. So
we'll see how the Knicks and the Cavs finish out this season, because they've kind of went the opposite direction. It's felt like, where they have like DeAndre Hunter and Josh Hart and all these guys on like pretty decent sized contracts. And they, I mean, Josh Hart's obviously been significant for the Knicks in the past. But they are, spending a ton of fucking money, and they're giving quality players, real contracts. And I mean, obviously it's worked out for them so far. They made the conference finals last year, and they have a real shot to win the NBA finals this year. But I do think it will be an interesting test case, because like neither the Cavs or the Knicks can really survive any sort of injury to those middle guys, to the Jared Allens, the OG Anunobys, the Josh Harts, the whoever. It feels like that you need to have real guys that you can pull off the bench in a pinch to, play real minutes, because the NBA is just a blood sport now. Like I've said it.
Yeah.
Just like the amount of fucking injuries we have is absolutely insane, and depth and flexibility is more important than it's ever been. I mean, the Sixers have to play two-way guys pretty much at all times this season because of the way that they stack their contracts. They kind of fuck themselves. So
did you see the thing that where like the injuries are up to another 7% from last year? Like there's the article, like it genuinely is going up every year. So I can't believe making the 65 game rule didn't help this.
I was gonna say it was 2 years. I think they said it's up 7 from last year and like 17 from 2 years ago. Yeah. And it just continues to get worse every single year. Once again, there will be something that is done about it. There has to be. Like it's just not there. There is nothing that you can possibly do and hope to, because the product, like I think about this, like for example, the Eagles are playing the 49ers this week, right? But the NFL is like, we've talked about it before, like they build their product on like team brands, and like they build their product on like basically turning the players into robots.
Yes.
And because of that, it's like, all right, well, yeah, half of the 49ers roster is decimated by injuries, but it doesn't really matter because you're still going to watch, because it's the fucking San Francisco 49ers and they're playing the Eagles in the playoffs. So you're not going to watch that. The NBA's whole brand is built around like 30 players in the NBA. And if you see these graphics that come up for these like primetime games, did you see the one the other night? Was I can't remember who the opposite star was, but it was like some star, and then Pods, Brandon Podjimski was the other one, because Jimmy and Steph and Draymond, all these guys were out. And I was like, and then you get like random, like I think we had one last year where we had Quentin Grimes as the person, like our star, Quinsanity. It's not sustainable for the NBA, because they invest way too much in putting the players as like the main focus of the league.
I remember this happening with Chris Humphries on the Celtics back right after the Nets trade happened. That was a really fun time. I think we had back-to-back weeks where we had Jordan Crawford, Chris Humphries, and Gerald Wallace all in a row as our like headline.
Were you on national TV games still because they thought you were going to be good?
There was like a couple of them like here and there. There was like a Heat one where Jeff Green hit a a 3-pointer like falling out of bounds to beat like the LeBron Miami Heat, which was pretty awesome. But
I was gonna say, I guess
think that was pretty much it.
Even during down years, like the marquee franchises are still gonna get big games, and if they don't have big name players, like what can they do except just put someone up there? And someone said why don't they just put Steve Kerr in the graphic instead? And I was like, that's actually kind of a good point. Like, more people know Steve Kerr than Brandon Podjimski. Like,
it's just Steve Kerr. Just put coaches in the thing. Put the GM.
They do that in football. Do they not? Do they not? If you polled 100 people in the streets and you asked them who Brandon Podjimski is, if you had a photo of Steve Kerr and a photo of Brandon Podjimski, there would be way more people that would know who Steve Kerr is and could point it out. The Bob Myers graphic.
Dog, the Bob Myers.
Yeah, they put Belichick in one when you guys played the Steelers a few years ago.
Let's go. That's amazing. That's what I'm saying. Like, you should just do. I feel like it is so funny that like Mike McDonald is like probably more people in America can recognize like Mike McDonald's face than like Jamal Murray's. Like,
I'm just saying, like, I genuinely think like if half of your league is going to be out with injuries at any given time, you got to try something, or you fix the fucking problem. Fix the fucking problem.
As they're putting the Adelman brand on. Adelman, who's the funniest coach to me?
No. The Sixers just put Franklin the dog. It's Bucks Sixers. It's Giannis and Franklin the dog.
The Knicks, they should just do it with like fans. Put Spike Lee and Ben Stiller on there. Who fucking cares?
Know them.
Like,
come on.
Yeah. Bring them in. Get Chalamet. He's got the Jenner lady like scratching his head with her nails. Like that looks so good, dude. I'm so lonely.
So the Kate Scott, the Sixers broadcaster, called the Knicks Pistons games on Peacock last night because the Sixers had a game. So
Ben Stiller was mad about that.
Ben Stiller was like, I don't know who these people are on the broadcast, but basically they're too happy. And I was like, I like that famous Knicks fans are also really sensitive about
it's awesome.
about praising Cade Cunningham and the Pistons.
I'll say this though, that's how I do appreciate that the Knicks fans are like, even their famous fans are real fans though, because that is a very fan brained like thing to do.
Oh, dude,
like that
when Austin Rivers and Robbie Hummel were like, these are NBA guys, and they're just waiting for an opportunity, and they haven't played much this year, but they've still got. I was literally like, shut the fuck up. They were right. They were cooking. Like, it was just. I was extremely mad in the moment.
So funny. It's so funny. You like that. I gotta say, there's nothing worse that I will say, like, as a fan, there's nothing worse than the announcers. There's that tweet about like when you're down 6 that Mike Breen bang feel like a shotgun to the chest, and that's like really true. Like, it really is like the worst feeling in the world. Like,
I've seen TikToks that are like when you just lost like $1,000 because of gambling shit, and they're like, and Mahomes does it again. Like,
that would be like,
I can't even imagine.
How does that not stop gambling, dude? Like, that would one Mahomes like devil class would ruin me.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I have in my whole life, I have like bet money on a single game, by the way, and it was an emotional hedge for the Bucks Eagles playoff game in 2021. I think it was. Yeah, it was 2021. So I emotionally hedged on that game because it was Tom Brady and the Bucks versus Jalen Hurts, the Eagles. The Eagles were fraudulent that year, and everyone knew they were fraudulent. They were like pulling wins out of their ass. It was Jalen's first full year starting. Sirianni, like they started the year like I want to say 2-5, and then they finished the year like 10-7. And I bet like $100 on the Bucks to cover in that game, and it was the only bet I ever made, and I won the bet. And then I was like, all right, I'm going out on top. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah. From now for the rest of time, I'm in the black for the rest of my life. Yeah.
And also the Eagles almost came back and backdoor covered in the game too. They were down, like the line was like -10 or something, and they lost. I want to say they were like 14, but they almost had a fake comeback at the end. And that in itself made me so nervous about losing money that I was like, I'll never do this again. And it was it was like one of those like put $50 in, you get $50 kind of thing. And I was like, all right, well, if I lose $50, it is what it is. But I only emotionally hedged. I do not condone gambling on games other than that. I can't imagine imagine the Sunday scaries that you would have.
Oh my God, dude.
While your team loses, you lose a bet, and you have to go to work the next day, and you're just fully crashing out.
Like, yeah, you've got the overdraft fucking sound effect from Wells Fargo is going off on your fucking phone, and you're in fucking traffic. You're like trying to figure out like how you could you're fucking going through your wallet like a gift cards. Like, do I have $6 on this one to get a fucking coffee? No. But not. Boss calls you in and something like that. Meanwhile, your dipshit coworker is standing there thinking, like, I just couldn't believe. I thought he stepped out. Did you guys think he stepped out? I have no idea. Shut the fuck up. And like, meanwhile, and then like smash cut to 2 hours later, the police are calling in, telling you to send a couple out as a gesture of good faith.
Do you want to talk about the NFL games before we get out of here? Do you want to talk about anything that happened in the NFL? Because I was thinking maybe we save our picks for the Patreon episode for this upcoming weekend.
I'm going to be honest. I did not watch a minute of the
You don't have to.
Games. Yeah.
You don't have to. I mean, none of it matters because we know that those teams aren't the best case scenario is that they win one game. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like they're not making a run.
I am liking Drone Chalk and Double Doink. Did you see their thing where they bet each other that like Caleb Williams would they bet on like some stat for like Trevor Lawrence?
So it was QBR. They said
yeah.
Caleb Williams will have a better. It was one's a Jags fan, one's a Bears fan.
Drone's a Jags fan, and Double Doink's a Cubs or Bears fan. Yeah.
So they the Double Doink is a Bears fan. I wouldn't know anything about that.
Yeah.
So talk soon, part 2. So the reason I say so basically their argument was who will have a better QBR, ESPN stat QBR, and they had the same exact QBR. What are the fucking odds of that? That's absolutely so insane.
That's so funny, dude. That kills me.
Like that seriously absurd, but good for them for turning it into. I can't remember what they're donating to, Gaza. But some. Oh, Gaza. A good cause to donate to. So if you see that, definitely donate to it if you are able to. Yeah. But the this past weekend, the only things that kind of came out of this past weekend heading into these playoffs, the main thing was the Eagles didn't play any of their starters. And then they lost to the Commanders, but the Bears also lost. I was saying going into this week, like I want to be clear. I always support resting your starters unless you can get a bye. That's the only scenario where I'm like, you have to go for it because getting. I mean, the point of resting your starters in the last week is essentially like faking a bye and making it so that your team has rest and you can recover from injuries and whatever. The competitive advantage you get from getting a bye is like crazy in the NFL.
Yeah.
Now I think if I remember correctly, I don't think that the 1 seed has won the NFC since we won it back in. I want to say, was it? Yeah, it was 22-23, right? Yeah, we won, and then we won the Super Bowl. I think we were the last NFC team to win the Super Bowl as the 1 seed. But the long and short of this is that the Eagles had no shot to win the 1 seed. It was either going to be the 49ers or the Seahawks. The Seahawks win that game. Your 49ers score 3 points. Sam rooting for Brock Purdy and the 49ers in that game. And then the Eagles go into that game. They lose to the Commanders, but simultaneously the Lions beat the Bears. And the discourse came out of it that was like, well, like they should have went for the 2 seed. They could have played the Packers and then they would have had an easier road and blah, blah, blah. If the Eagles can't beat the 49ers in round 1, they were never winning the Super Bowl. Because the 49ers are not as good as the Seahawks, not as good as the Rams. They be in next year, Eagles, Group Bears, whatever. The Eagles not 2 years ago, we went into the Giant Stadium and AJ Brown played in that game. And AJ Brown got an injury in that game, and we were done. That was it. Our season was over. AJ Brown was extremely important. He got hurt on the first drive of the game, and all that could have happened was we got the 3 seed instead of the 6 seed. And in this scenario, we literally, it might not even affect us, because if the 7 seed Packers upset the Bears, we get a second round home game anyway. So everyone losing their, it is a little bit of sports talk radio brain where I have to just avoid the dialogue and the discourse around this kind of shit, because it will drive you absolutely fucking insane. But the difference between the 2 and the 3 seed is just, especially this year when everything's so up in the air and anyone can win, I can't imagine being upset over the Eagles not playing the starters and risking guys getting injured when they could have just gotten 1 seed higher. Like, you're really that afraid to go to Chicago and play the Bears? Because if you're that afraid to go to Chicago and play the Bears, or you're that afraid of the 49ers, you're not winning the Super Bowl anyway. So why do you give a shit?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's a problem. It's a made up problem, because in order to be good, I don't know. I'm very football brain where I'm like, you got to play who's in front of you. You know what I'm saying? Like, the path doesn't really, I don't want to say path doesn't matter, but like, I think in football, it's different, because like anything can happen in like any given one game. So like, you're going to have to play someone at some point anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you almost certainly have to go through the Rams or the Seahawks to win the Super Bowl if you're the Eagles.
Yeah.
And you're going to play now. Look, would you prefer to try to avoid them and then maybe have them play each other in the second round and you would have a better chance? Sure. But like, you have to beat teams to win the Super Bowl. You have to beat good teams to win the Super Bowl. You don't win the Super Bowl playing a bunch of shit teams.
Yeah. We've talked about how like you're probably going to have to beat 3 contenders this year, because everyone's a fucking contender.
Right. It's all on like even levels. Yeah. Do you still want to stick with your pick, by the way? For we could officially make it on the Patreon episode, but do you want to stick with your pick? Because you had
I did think the Niners were going to get the 1 seed, so I do feel like worse about that. So it's the Bills are playing on the road against the Jags.
Yes. Jags Bills. And so Jags Bills is the 3 seed versus the 6 seed, if I remember correctly.
Seed, that sounds right. Okay. Yeah. And then it's the Texans are playing the Steelers on the road.
4-5.
That's not a gimme, by the way. I've been on here saying that like the Steelers are dog shit, but like Texans haven't looked good.
You are literally Bill Simmons.
I'm just saying, like I don't get, everyone's like, oh, this Texans defense is so good. I don't know, man. Like, they can't really like move them. What are the Texans good at?
They have an insane defensive line. They have like one of the best defensive lines in
when has a defensive line ever carried anyone to a Super Bowl? Sorry, I couldn't even get through that.
I will say, I don't think it's wrong that the Steelers have the devil magic.
Yeah,
the devil magic teams. The Eagles started the year with it, but the Steelers might have crossed over to PA, the other side of PA, where the Steelers feel like they just win games despite looking like shit the whole game.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're dogs. They pull you into the mud with them.
I was gonna say, and the Texans are vulnerable to being pulled into the mud. That's certainly true. Yeah. I don't know if I'm gonna keep my pick, because I had Texans Rams as mine.
Yeah,
I'm still pondering on whether I want to keep that as my selection for the Super Bowl, but not a ton happened this week that swayed me.
I'll be genuinely upset if we lose to the Chargers. I think the Chargers are kind of ass, and the fact that we have the Chargers is. Yeah, I will.
The Chargers don't have any business going into New England and winning that game.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this is like, I don't care beyond that. Like, if we lose to the Bills or the Jags the week, I don't give a shit. Like, successful season if we win against the Chargers. It will be genuinely upsetting if we lose to the Chargers. I will say that. Like, but
so the Chargers, obviously it's been stated time and time again, they don't have their 2 tackles. If they played against
a fucking broken hand, their quarterback's a broken hand. It's like insane. Like,
it's crazy they're as good as they've been this year, but their defense has been great, and then Herbert's just kind of scraped by this year. The thing I was going to say was the Patriots, like if they played the Texans, for example, the Chargers, like they did last year, they would get destroyed because their pass rush is going to just kill them. The Patriots on the level of all of these teams in terms of defensive line are definitely down towards the bottom. But as Bill said, they should win that game. 2-7 at home. Chargers kind of limping into the playoffs. Herbert's got a chance though. Herbert's got a chance to fucking, if he goes out there, I don't want to hear any. Now look, maybe I said this last year where I was like, I don't care what Herbert does. He's still good to me. And then he shit his pants horribly in that game. And you were victory lapping that, rightfully so. If Herbert goes into New England and with these tackles and that hand injury that he has and wins the game, I mean, he will officially destroy the allegations.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I'm not going to hold it against him either way, but if he does go in there and win this game, that would be extremely impressive. But no, once again, I feel, I do have a gut feeling about one team.
Like good or bad?
Good.
Fraud or good? Is it Seahawks?
It's the Jags.
I don't know if I can join you there.
I'm not like.
I will say Trevor Lawrence getting squatted by that lady in the bar is very Team of Destiny coded.
You need to have a himbo quarterback sometimes.
Yeah.
I've seen so many himbo. To me, here are the two things that you need. Now, maybe Jalen Hurts kind of throws water on this because he won last year. You either need to have one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time or a big idiot who can occasionally turn into a god for. Okay, so you either need Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, one of those guys that to realistically win a Super Bowl, or you need a big oaf like Nick Foles, Joe Flacco,
what about
Eli Manning.
What about both? Josh Allen.
I don't know what you see in the Bills this year, to be honest with you.
Like, I don't see anything. I just see Josh Allen and James Cook is all I see. Like, so
we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, we will see. I mean, they could also just get trounced by the Jags, but I'm just saying, like, if I don't like the Jags' path is kind of fucking tough, man. They probably have one of the tougher paths in the NFL. You got to play Josh Allen round 1. And I get that the Bills are ass, but like Josh Allen is still Josh Allen.
Not fun to play against Josh Allen for sure.
Yeah. And then then you're like probably going into New England on the road round 2. And then you're on the road from there on out. They Jags could beat New England, sure. But like you're playing probably the MVP of the league, like at that point, like again on the road.
So it would be Bills, and so the Jags are currently the 3 seed.
3 seed, right?
So unless the Chargers upset them, then they would have to go into New England in the second round.
Yeah.
So you would have to go. Yeah, that's not easy. Bills at home, Jags, and then probably whoever gets it. Now, if you win those 2 games, they just kicked the Broncos' ass 2 weeks ago. That was the game that made me be like, all right, maybe I'm like completely missing the boat.
Or the Broncos frauds though is the other.
Definitely possible, but they kicked their ass. Like it was 34-20 was the final score, but it did not feel even that close. Like they were destroying them in that game. The last few games they won. They beat the Colts 23-17. They beat the Titans 41-7. They beat the Broncos. So they played a pretty cupcake schedule down the stretch here. They've been beaten up on some pretty bad teams, and then they just handily beat the Broncos.
Teams with cupcake schedules are very dangerous, though. This is a very dangerous year. Teams with cupcake schedules. You know what?
Chiodo said his favorite part about the Drake May thing with the Stafford argument is that he could hear the exact opposite argument if it were Stafford on the Patriots.
Yes. Oh, 100%.
He would be like, or if it was Stafford on just a team he roots for, he would be like, I don't know, this division that he plays in, the 49ers are really good. The Seahawks are really good. Like he would completely flip it. Like, are we sure Drake May is going to be a Hall of Famer? I know Matthew Stafford's going to be.
Can we do a quick tangent to just talk about, this is one of the all-time Bill heaters.
Generational run right now. Traeger called him on this. He was correct.
Bill, like, just in general, like with like the rewatchables episode, like Bill has been. There are people talking about Bill Simmons that have never talked about Bill Simmons before, like on my timeline, and
it's
like
crazy. He's having a moment.
He is having a moment. He's literally having a moment right now. I know. I just like it was very charming for me to see like all these like film Twitter people who were like trying to wrap their mind around the 16 limitless.
Dude, that was so good. Also, his number one most rewatchable being The Devil Wears Prada, Bars.
Dude, he's so good, dude.
Dude, that movie is so rewatchable. That's such a good one.
Bill is like it's so fun to watch other people like discover Bill, because I think they're expecting like Colin, like Howard or something like that, or
serious, like buttoned up,
or like
this is why you work hard.
Or Stephen A. Smith, and they don't realize they're getting like one of the most like brain damaged people who's like ever existed, but like also like it's like amazing. It was killing me, dude. I was having such a good time watching Bill's everyone getting really into Bill this week. Was very funny. He was talking about his wife crying in the kitchen because she watched the Heated Rivalry finale. He's awesome, what? Dude. Yeah, apparently his wife was like choked.
Was he watching?
She was choked up at the beauty of the Heated Rivalry finale.
Let's go. I was getting heat for not liking Heated Rivalry, but
did you watch the whole thing?
I watched the first 4 episodes. You
didn't hang in there for episode 5, man.
No, did not, unfortunately. But
just watch episode 5. You can skip episode 6. Everyone goes crazy for episode 6. Episode 5 is where the juice is. If you ask me,
I'll trust you on that. We'll make a scheduled view of that here at the house.
Yeah, but all time, dude. There's a millennial TV moment. There's a all time drop of Wolf Parade's. I'll believe in anything.
Amazing.
Episode 5. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I just have one prediction based on the NFL that I know that my prediction for the Patreon episode is that you will be predicting that the Panthers upset the Rams. I know you better than anyone. I know you've been sitting on this. I've literally been sitting on it. I sent it into the Discord. I said, I guarantee you Sam will want to pick the Panthers. Bryce Young in that game, bro. I was like, first off, they did get a little bit screwed by the refs. That was not inaccurate.
Yeah.
I think because the NFL, so basically if the Panthers win that game, that made Falcons Saints irrelevant.
Yes.
This past week.
Yes.
So I think they wanted to make that game relevant because they got the shit kicked out of them in the rest of the games. Like most of those games did not actually really matter except for Steelers Ravens, and then Saints Falcons really saved the day for them because it mattered because the Falcons winning got the Panthers in. So the Bucs won their last game and then they didn't get into the playoffs because there was a 3-way tie. Like, I know you've defended Bryce Young in the past. If they win a playoff game, I went back and I looked at it. Do you know who the worst non-rookie, like veteran quarterback to win his division and win a playoff game is in the last 10 years?
The worst. Let me think about this for like 2 seconds. Is it Mark Sanchez?
Last 10 years, not 15.
Oh, okay. 20. Last 10 years. Is it Mitch Trubisky?
I knew you were going to say Mitch Trubisky. I wish that I had thought they lost. They lost the game to the Eagles. That was the double doink game.
Oh,
that was the first round.
That's right. Shit. Okay. Who is it?
So I looked it up, and I think Bryce Young is the worst quarterback since this veteran quarterback, since this guy to win his division, just in general. Mm-hmm. And that is Brock Osweiler.
Oh my God. What a throwback.
Brock Osweiler won his division for the Texans and then won a playoff game, if I remember correctly. I think he went 1-1. I looked it up. If Bryce Young beats the Rams at home for the second time in a month and a half and does this, I will be I said I won't be surprised by anything in these playoffs. That would surprise me the most, I think, out of anything that could possibly happen. But weird fucking year. They just beat the Rams at home. I don't think it's likely to happen. And it would massively benefit the Eagles if it happens. Because if the Panthers win, there's at least a slight possibility if the Packers upset the Bears that the Eagles host the Panthers at home in the divisional round, which I would like very much. But let's beat the 49ers first. Ben Solak picked against us, so I feel pretty good about our chances. But
Ruiz? No Ruiz pick.
I don't think we've gotten him. So I think a lot of people are similar to you. Were very high on the Niners going into the last few weeks they were just putting up points, and then that Seahawks game might have scared them a little bit. Like I said, half of their team is out, dude. Like they don't have like any linebackers. They literally lost one of their reserve linebackers who were starting for them in that game. They just had to sign former Eagle Kaiser White, who's completely washed, to play in this game. They're playing. Do you remember Eric Kendricks from the Vikings years ago?
Yeah.
He's their other starting linebacker.
That's
like
tough.
If they beat us, we were turbo frauds. Like the Eagles should be able to win this game. And it's possible that we are. Like I've said this whole year has been off. But we'll get into our full predictions at the end of the Patreon episode. I didn't want to waste anyone's time by talking about NFL stuff in the middle of this podcast, but we did have to hit, almost hit our.
Well, yeah. If you want to see if Trill is right, I'm not gonna lie. I was kicking it around. I knew you were. I knew you were because my mind palace.
Bill said it, and I was like, Sam's gonna say the same thing.
Oh, did Bill say?
Well, Bill didn't say. So Bill won't fully commit to it. We'll see. I think he just dropped a podcast, so we'll see if he talks about it. So he just talked about the Eagles and Steelers on this episode, not the he had Chris Ryan on to talk about the fucking Eagles. Chris Ryan does not care about the Eagles, bro. Like, stop bringing. He can't be your. I like Chris Ryan, but he can't be your Philly guy. Like, he cannot be your Philly representative.
Yeah, I know.
You have a fucking Philly podcast. Bring Sheil on to talk about it.
Yeah.
So he's not talking about it on that episode, but he kept saying, did you listen to the episode with Cousin Sal?
I started it. I don't have enough time to when I'm driving into work to get all the way through them, but I might have gotten to what you.
He kept being like, this Panthers team interests me. I'm interested in this Panthers team. I don't hate them. I don't hate this Panthers. I don't hate this team. And then finally Cousin Sal was like, what do you mean when you say that? You keep saying that, but so basically he wanted to say, I think they might be able to upset the Rams, but he didn't want to fully commit to it. So then he was like, I'm going to do a teaser, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But the long and short of it is that Bill, if he has the balls, will be picking that. And I thought you guys have the same brain, so you didn't even need to listen to that to think.
It does happen pretty regularly that I'll have an opinion and somebody will be like, oh, like Bill said, and I'm like, what? Then I'm listening to Bill Simmons later and I'm like,
the exact same thing.
Yeah, Cook. He cooked on that one. It is essentially a type of brain damage that I gave myself age 13, just listening to Bill, that I just fucking it pushed my smooth brain matter into a Bill-shaped mold to make a perfect thing.
He kept saying, I don't mind the Panthers. I don't mind this team. I don't mind the Panthers. And then he was like, what do you mean? I just kept laughing because he's like, you keep saying that. What does that mean? You don't mind them? He's like, they got a good defense. They can run the ball. It's playoff football, whatever. I'm looking at, this is they lost to the Lions in the wild card, the Rams 2 years ago.
Okay.
They beat the Vikings last year. They famously destroyed Sam Darnold in that game. Yep. They won the Super Bowl in 2021. They won the wild card. So they've only lost in the wild card once under Sean McVay, I believe.
Wow.
No, twice. They lost twice under Sean McVay. But he's very good in these early playoff matchups. Now look, maybe I'm over indexing on prestige zone shit at this point with the Rams, but their defense was dog shit down the stretch of this season. And I'm wondering how much of that I'm wondering how much of that carries over into Trey Young in the playoffs. Because Trey Young carved them up last time. Like, they have given up a ton of points recently. I will say that much. Like, they're not. I don't feel as good about the pick as when I looked more into it. I was like, what? Jacoby Brissett just scored 30 points on them when they were trying to win. Like, there's many red flags in the Rams profile that I felt better about 2 weeks ago when I was like, or a month ago when I was like, they're the best team in the NFL.
I'm keeping an eye on it. I'll just say, I'm going to be looking into Dave Canales' history very carefully.
Well, you are familiar with his game, right?
I'm not familiar with this game. I have to learn more.
Oh, buckle up.
Okay.
Dave Canales wrote a book about being saved by God from porn addiction.
Okay, no. Let's do this. Let's do this right now. Panthers by 3. Lock it in. That's an ice cold lock. Panthers by 3. Sean McVay is a gooner. He can't help it. Like, he's in LA. He's out there doing that. Like, let's lock it in.
All right, I'm gonna read the description. All right, ready?
Okay.
This marriage ? The question that changed everything. He wrote it with his wife. Is a faith-based memoir about overcoming his secret struggles with infidelity, pornographic addiction, binge drinking to save their marriage, detailing their journey from a seemingly perfect life to crisis and eventually redemption through vulnerability and Christianity.
This is awesome, dude. Should I read this before this weekend? It has to be like 80 pages long. Like, there's no way it's like a real book. Let me I might tap in for this, to be totally honest. Let me see.
That is special stuff. And also the boldness of him to release this book while he is an NFL head coach.
It's pretty awesome.
Like, that's baller shit, dude.
Dude, did you see who wrote the foreword?
No.
Tony Dungy.
Let's go. Yeah, Tony Dungy, someone who famously was really good at coaching in the playoffs.
192 pages. Dude, they were fucking cooking on that one. That's a real... I don't know if I could read that before this weekend. Do I lock in?
Sam's Panthers.
My Panthers.
Beating being addicted to masturbating.
I don't mind jacking off. I don't mind it.
I don't mind jerking off at all.
I don't mind jacking off.
I don't get why it's so demonized. But this is
you have a wife,
the light of Christ.
All right. Tune back in. I'll think about this, but I will be locking in the Panthers one.
Also, someone pointed out Dungy won a Super Bowl, absolutely fucking Mickey ass Super Bowl that he got carried to. And I do just want to point out that Tony Dungy was like historically bad in the playoffs before that year.
Yeah.
But you win one title and no one gives a shit. And yes, he's a homophobe, so fuck him. Anyway.
Bye.
Take care.